Arrog is a game developed by Hermanos Magia, a Peruvian games development studio in 2020. Arrog is a game that feels it's very much a the other word game. I played this a fair while ago now, and I recently returned to it. It's a very short experience, very atmospheric experience. It sits well outside of the boundaries of what most people would consider a game. So this game, Arrog, is about death. Arrog is primarily a celebration of life, and to celebrate life, of course, one must accept death. The game developer, the director, Matteo Aliza, he says in an interview, Arrog comes as a consummation of different experiences in my life. As an artist, I have always explored the subject of death. This interest is not a macabre fixation, but an exercise that seeks to find new ways to think about it. Because thinking about death is a territory of speculation with many answers, where no one is a final truth. This is important because we live in a society that constantly stays distant from this matter. So I wanted to make an indie game that came from my speculations, but also comes from the context of Peru and the cultural influences that this subject has here. He goes on to speak about essentially the game. The game is very much metaphorical. It's not. It doesn't try to force one interpretation. However, there's certain imagery within the game that really it evokes reconciliation with nature and the power of community and rituals relating to death. It's very much a game that is of the death acceptance movement. It's not something to be feared, because of course in modernity we have this deep-seated fear of death, so much so that there are now groups, or even cults you could call them. Transhumanism, for example, being an extreme form of the fear of death. Now I'm sure you've heard this quote before, but there's this very biting quote from Patrick Curry writing on the follies of transhumanism for a paper in The Ecological Citizen. He says, "The transhumanist, ruthless, imperialistic, Promethean anthropocentrism is almost a reductio ad absurdum of fear and hatred of the independent value and agency of the earth, other animals, the body and, insofar as it is inseparable in practice, mind. Even those who don't share the transhumanist worldview and goal to transcend death are still distant from it. In our day-to-day lives, of course, we try not to think about death. And so Arrog, Matteo says, is really a challenge to the way that society avoids talking about death, and he hopes to approach this subject in a very sensitive and meaningful way. So as for the game itself, it's, as you might imagine by now, a very atmospheric game. It's a short experience. It's more like I said it was like watching a short film. You could easily say it's like reading a poem or a prose poem. And so don't go into this expecting a gameplay heavy, mechanics heavy experience. It's an atmospheric journey contemplating death in about 30 minutes or so. The puzzles themselves are very minimalistic. It's just to help facilitate the experience. So you might connect certain lines together to symbolize movement towards a new location. You might move an astrological diagram around, fill in the blanks, or reconfigure a star map. Click candle so that lights come on, that sort of thing. It's very minimalistic, very calming, very relaxing. Although I do wish that the game was maybe slightly longer and slightly more challenging, just as a way to get more invested into the game. As for the art style, it's one of the strongest points, I think. If I was to make a game, it would definitely be hand drawn and quite quite dark and atmospheric like this, like Arrog. It's very charming indeed. It's got a dark element to it, but again, it's got a lighter touch as well with the capybara character, and it feels quite. It's got a mix of both, which you'll be aware if you've watched this channel for some time. I do enjoy. And the sound design is perhaps one of the best aspects of this game. Great Foley work. There's sounds of wildlife, rain, thunder, lightning, music at one point in the game. It's very well done. It's extremely immersive. As far as for the story itself, it's really left to the player's interpretation. It is sometimes quite obvious what the game is trying to tell you, but there's a certain element to it where we're not sure, for example, whether the protagonist, who actually falls ill, he is part of a hunter-gatherer group, an indigenous group of Peruvians, and we're not quite sure if he falls ill and dies, or he's just dreaming about another of his kinsmen. Perhaps we're not quite sure, but it's clear that the game story is about accepting death and the value of rituals relating to death as part of that acceptance, and also the part that community plays in mourning the dead but also celebrating the dead. And finally, I think the game, for me, the reason I like it so much, even though it's just a very short experience, and compared to some other games, it didn't really leave such a lasting impression on me compared to other games. It is what makes it stick, however, is this theme of nature reconciliation. The last few scenes of Arrog are very well done. Really drives the point home about this, the cycle of life and death. And I won't say much more than that because it really deserves to be played. As I say, it's a very short 30-minute experience. And if you are the type of person that watches The Other Word, you probably enjoy Arrog. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Till next time.